I didn't tell my roommate I own the house and now he's destroying the place. About a year ago, my last remaining grandparent unfortunately passed away, and my father inherited all of their assets, including a house. At the time, I had been saving to make a substantial down payment on a house to ensure a lower monthly mortgage, thereby allowing me to save money for me to also travel. When my father inherited this house, he wasn't interested in moving into it himself. However, he offered to sell it to me at a slightly below market rate. The condition was that he and my stepmother could eventually move into the basement apartment of the house. I agreed to this arrangement because both my father and stepmother are wonderful people who I knew would not be invasive and would respect my privacy if they lived there. So, I went ahead and made a 60% down payment on the house, financing the rest, and moved in. This arrangement seemed ideal, as it helped me secure a home while also providing a future living solution for my father and stepmother. 6 months ago, I began considering the idea of renting out the finished basement apartment in my house. The apartment includes 2 bedrooms, a bathroom, a living room, and a small kitchenette equipped with a sink, fridge, and microwave, but no oven. At that time, a friend mentioned that his brother was moving to my city and looking for an affordable place to stay. As a new teacher with limited income, he needed a place that wasn't too costly. I decided to offer him the basement apartment for significantly less than the market rate, at $650, which included utilities. He was pleased with the offer, accepted it, and signed a year-long lease. However, a few days ago, he approached me with a request to start paying rent directly to the landlord instead of to me. I was taken aback, as I had assumed my friend had informed him that I was the owner of the house. When I clarified that there was no landlord and that I was the owner, he became extremely upset. He accused me of lying to him for over 6 months and taking advantage of him by charging so much in rent. For context, an apartment similar to mine would typically rent for more than double, if not triple, what he is paying me. He demanded to know how much of my mortgage's rent was covering. I responded that his rent amount was fair for the quality and amenities of the living space he was receiving, and that my personal finances were not relevant to our rental agreement. He reacted angrily to my response, storming out and slamming the door behind him. Since then, he hasn't spoken to me. Since he has a lease, I won't be evicting him over this alone. If he does any damage or becomes hostile, I'll look at the eviction process. But for now, he will remain unless he chooses to break the lease. He also didn't bother to read the lease before signing. The lease clearly states I'm the homeowner. I didn't trick him or keep info from him. He simply didn't read what he was signing. I asked a few other friends and some family members, and most said I'm wrong for having him cover my mortgage payments. Only a few say I'm in the right. What do you guys think? Update 1. I intended to speak to him over the weekend, but he didn't respond to my texts asking for a suitable time to have a discussion. So, on Sunday afternoon, I sent him a text informing him that I would be entering the basement at 6 p.m. on Monday evening. Again, I received no reply from him. When I entered the basement on Monday, I noticed that while some of his belongings were still there, others were missing. The bed was in its place, but the dresser and side tables were gone. The second bedroom, which he used as an office, contained nothing but boxes. I was dismayed to find the kitchenette in a filthy state, the carpets dirty, and visible dents and divots in the walls and paint. Concerned about the condition of the apartment, I left him a note emphasizing the need for repairs and cleaning, especially in the kitchenette, to prevent attracting vermin. After leaving the note, I returned upstairs. The situation left me concerned about the state of the apartment and the lack of communication from the guy. He returned early this morning, furious that I had entered the basement without his permission. I explained that I had given him more than 24 hours notice, as per our lease agreement, via text message before entering his space. His reply was that he didn't get the message because he blocked my number. So somehow it's still my fault for not informing him I would be down there. I asked him if he planned to fulfill the lease or if he intended to break it. He stated his decision to leave and live in his car until he found a new place. I told him that's fine and that if he has all his belongings out by the end of the month, I won't make him pay September and half of October's rent, as the lease requires, and I'll refund the days he isn't here. He tried to tell me he doesn't need to pay that rent because he has 45 days to vacate. But that's only the notice period, if he intends to leave. The lease still requires rent for those 45 days, so he's mad about that. I emphasized that I was being generous by allowing him to leave early without any financial penalty. Additionally, I reminded him that he needed to leave the apartment as clean as it was when he moved in to receive his deposit back. He was visibly upset by this requirement. He is currently in the process of removing the rest of his belongings. I asked him to notify me in writing when he has completely vacated the apartment so I can process his refund for August. I have indoor Ring cameras that I turned off when he moved in, but I've turned them back on until he's gone. I don't trust that he won't do more damage. Right now I've locked myself in my office on the second story, since he's really mad and was throwing things around in the basement and main kitchen. His brother and sister-in-law are also coming over in the next hour or so because I don't feel entirely safe being alone in the house with him. As soon as he gives me notice that he's completely vacated the apartment, I'll be changing and deleting all the passwords and codes for all the deadbolts, alarm system, internet, etc. so he can't access anything at all. I'm ready to be done with him and to feel safe in my own home again. Update 2. The former tenant begged me to let him come back, but I declined. Actually, I offered him the apartment for over market value, $3,300, to make him go away. He also declined my offer. I have no idea where he ended up, but after some of the names he called me, I wouldn't let him back in. I don't care. I'm still good friends with his brother. He's a good guy who laughed when I told him about my offer of $3,300 each month. I didn't ask where the former tenant landed. I'm sure he has several roommates, but again, I don't really care. I will not be renting it out again anytime soon. I had to do some repairs, so I'm hesitant to let anyone else in. I may let my cousin's daughter move in next year, but I know her and know she's respectful of people's property. Unless my parents move in before then. But definitely no more renting to strangers. Anyone else had a similar experience?